I never thought I'd come back home just to be told I didn't belong. 10 years gone, 10 years spent in hospitals with my mom holding her hand until her very last breath. And when I finally drove through that rusty gate with the deed in my pocket, the first words I heard were, "You don't belong here anymore." And then, as if that wasn't insane enough, a so-called cop showed up with a fake court order trying to throw me off my own land, like I was some squatter. The gravel crunched under my old pickup tires as I rolled into Maple Creek Estates past picture-perfect lawns and manicured trees that looked like they'd been ripped out of a catalog. My grandfather's corner lot sat waiting his weathered house, and those concrete boundary markers still there, little sentinels he'd set into the earth with his own hands. I remembered being a kid mixing cement with him while he told me his mantra measure twice cut once. That land wasn't just dirt and wood, it was his legacy and mine. But legacy doesn't mean much to a power-hungry HOA president. Malene Pierce, 5 years in the neighborhood, and she strutted out of her oversized colonial like she owned the whole subdivision. "You abandoned this place?" She sneered, stilettos clicking on the sidewalk. Behind her, bright construction tape flapped across my entrance, and a shiny sign screamed, "Disputed property boundary." Except there was no dispute. I had the deed clear as daylight. I held up my phone, the county seal sharp on the PDF. The land's mine. No easement, no question. She crossed her arms like I'd just spit on the community flag. And then came the heavy footsteps, Derek Holt in tactical gear, radio buzzing, looking every inch like law enforcement. He slapped down a clipboard. "Sir, I have a directive requiring temporary evacuation while the attorneys sort this out." Something in me sagged. 10 years of fatigue from caregiving bills, stacked high from hospital stays, the constant ache of losing my mom. Part of me wanted to just sign and walk away to avoid another fight. Maybe she was right. Maybe I didn't belong here anymore. But then, like an echo through time, I heard my grandfather's voice measure twice cut once Jordan. "Always check the fine print." So I read. And buried halfway through the temporary agreement was a clause waiver of future boundary disputes. Permanent surrender. I looked at Derek, then at Malene's smug face. This isn't temporary. This is theft. I almost gave up right there, but something inside me hardened. I live-streamed on the spot camera rolling, showing the world the concrete markers my grandfather had set in the ground 30 years ago. I traced the numbers with my fingers, broadcast the county survey maps with GPS overlays. No easement, no nothing, just my land. And then help came from unexpected places. Rebecca Shaw, the HOA treasurer, walked across the street with her phone trembling in her hand. She whispered, "I never approved payments for this. No board meeting, no vote." She'd found irregularities in the HOA budget, thousands spent on legal enforcement that didn't exist. And then Nadia Brooks, a licensed surveyor who happened to live next door, confirmed every marker, every measurement. She pulled up county records herself, and they matched mine perfectly. Meanwhile, Derek started to crack. "Which court filed this?" I pressed. He wouldn't answer, because there was no court, just Malene's obsession wrapped in fancy letterhead. But she didn't stop. She doubled down photocopies of old covenants spread across a car hood like tarot cards. She posted doctored photos online at 5 in the morning, making my grandfather's shed look like it blocked emergency access. She called me greedy, said I was stealing from the community. And neighbors? Some believed her. I saw the looks. I heard the whispers. For a moment, I believed them too. I stood in my grandfather's yard, exhausted, staring at that shed he built with his own hands, and thought maybe I should just give it up. Maybe fighting this would kill me the way the illness killed my mom. My chest tightened with the weight of it. But then I remembered this wasn't just land. This was his legacy, his lessons, his blood mixed into that cement. Some things you don't walk away from. The turning point came the night I caught her son breaking into the shed. My security camera lit up, motion detected. I drove back fast, heart hammering, and found him stuffing the place with old community signs and garden tools, trying to stage it like it had always been neighborhood property. When our flashlights met, he blurted, "Mom said your family stole this from the community. I'm just taking it back." Except he slipped. He admitted it. His mother had lost a boundary fight against my grandfather 30 years ago. This wasn't community business, this was a vendetta. I recorded everything. Derek showed up too by then, no longer her enforcer, but a witness furious he'd been dragged into a family feud disguised as HOA authority. He called the sheriff himself, and when Deputy Mark arrived, it was like the entire masquerade collapsed in the floodlights. Forged documents, unauthorized spending, criminal trespass. The next HOA meeting was packed. 20 neighbors' metal chairs, scraping fluorescent lights buzzing. Rebecca connected her laptop to the projector and blew the lid off every unauthorized payment, every shady contract Malene signed without approval. Security services, legal retainers, thousands of dollars of our dues spent in secret. Derek stood at the front stripped of his authority, but finally honest. He held up the fake evidence hold stickers he'd been told to slap on files, office supply store labels, nothing official. The room erupted in laughter and outrage. And then Deputy Mark laid Malene's fake court order on the table under bright lights. This has no seal, no case number, no judge's signature. Law firms don't issue court orders. Judges do. Silence. You could feel the air leave her balloon. Neighbors turned on her questions, shouted chairs shifting the truth, hammering down. And there she stood, clutching her folder of lies, face-drained, trying to spin it as community spirit while her empire crumbled. Even Derek said, "If this is all fake, I can't enforce it. I want my contract terminated now." And that was it. The moment Karen lost it, and everyone saw it for what it really was. A grudge masquerading as authority, a fraud wearing HOA letters like a crown. The vote came swift. Removed from office, ordered to repay thousands, her son facing charges. The fake cop, gone the real cop. Standing tall, the community finally staring her lies in the face. I didn't gloat. I just stood there tired but unbroken, watching the woman who tried to erase my family's legacy realize she had none of her own. Because in the end, all the fake seals, the power plays, the threats, they couldn't stand against a simple truth carved into concrete 30 years ago. And that's the lesson: power built on lies always collapses. But truth endures.